Hello and happy Tuesday. My name is Wendy Lee, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US, and happy that you are joining me today in my studio to have a little bit of paper crafting fun. Yay, love Tuesdays, right? Okay, what do I have for you today? We're going to do a little bit of coloring. Are you a fan of coloring? Do you prefer not to color? I go in a mood. Sometimes I love it, and sometimes I'm not so happy about it. But I think it all depends on what tools you have, right? Do you have a favorite tool that you like to use? Today, we're going to play a little bit with our Stampin' Blends, and we're going to do some fast and easy coloring. Not going to go too crazy, but I'm featuring the Garden Birdhouse stamp set from the annual catalog. So I'm going to show you my card real quick. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Got a little cork paper in there, little shimmer vellum. We're going to fray some ribbons. We're going to do a lot of fun things. So I'll show you a little bit more about that once we switch the camera over. A couple of reminders I want to remind you of are class registrations that I have open. So the Perfectly Plaid Stamp-a-Stack that we've been talking about is closing today. So today's your last chance to take advantage of that and have some super cute holiday cards this year. So yeah, and there's options to double your card kits in that one. So again, that's on my website, CreativeLeeYours.com, and you can see the information there and register. Yes. All right. I also have my whimsical Christmas framed art or home decor. The frame actually doesn't come with the class. You provide your own frame on that one, but registration closes this Friday, the 26th. Now, I just realized today that my graphic says the 28th. So I am going to close registration on the 26th. However, if somebody jumps in the 27th or 28th and pays for it, I'll sneak them in. Okay. And then last but not least, bingo. I have Stampin' Bingo coming up, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute. So I'm going to wait because I want to show you a sneak peek of those projects. But registration closes on the 27th, which is this Saturday, and we play bingo on December 11th, which is a Saturday, and we start at 2 p.m. Eastern. So much fun. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera over so we can get starting with our crafty fun, right? Let me go ahead and change that. Perfect. And make that adjustment there. Hopefully that will help our clarity. Yay. Let me make sure you guys can see me. Hey, Gwen, so glad you're here. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Susan, so glad you're here. Perfect. Good. All right, so I can see you guys. Hopefully you can see me. So we are featuring, like I said, the Garden Birdhouse's stamp set. I just really like this one. It's one I had been eyeing in the annual catalog for a while, and I decided I was going to get it and go back to it and have some fun with it. So a lot of times I avoid stamps that I have to color because, like I said, I get a little moody on that. Sometimes I enjoy it, but sometimes I don't. But there's a lot of really great techniques you can do to color your images in. But today we're going to use some Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to show you some really quick coloring with that. Oh, hey, Jean. Oh, cold in Oregon. Yeah, I think it's cold here too. I haven't been outside, but I think it was supposed to get down to 28, which is probably not cold for you, but it's cold for me last night. Hey, Tammy, so glad you're here as well. Glad to see your faces. Well, I wish I could see your faces. Glad to see that you're popping in and making comments. I love that. All right, so this is the stamp set we're featuring. This is also the stamp set I'm featuring for my bingo that's coming up. So I'll give you a sneak peek at the end of today's crafting fun to show you what we're going to do for bingo. Hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. And then I'm mixing in some of the designer paper from the Blackberry Beauty Specialty Designer Series paper pack. I love this paper pack, and oh, look, see, I have a sticky note on there that's back ordered until November 8th. But that is not true. I haven't checked today to see if it was orderable. I believe that it is, but it's one that has gone in and out of stock because it's just so fantastic. So if you find it in stock, definitely give this one a go. It's got some beautiful prints. So we're going to use that little chevron pattern in the background there. So I think that's fun. Pull this out of the way. Let's pull the stamp set out of the way and take a closer look at our card. So I hope you can see all that shimmer of this layer right here. So we're going to pull in some of our Shimmer Vellum, which I love. A little texture with our cork, and we're going to do stamping right on our cork. Got a little bit of coloring we're going to do, some stamping in the background, making our own little background there. And then on the inside, we've got a little bit of the design brought into the inside as well with that bird and coloring there. All right, you guys ready to get started? I'm going to slide this over, and we are going to start with our pale papaya layer. So after the video, I will go back in and add all the complete supply list. So if you need to order any supplies, you'll have exactly what you need. And then you will also be able to cut your layers in case you decide that you're going to use something you've already got on hand, or maybe you already have this stamp set and haven't used it yet, right? Or maybe you've used it and loved it much, and this is just another idea for you. All right, so I'm bringing in pale papaya ink, and I'm going to stamp pale papaya on pale papaya, right? It gives that tone on tone. It's really super pretty. Now, I meant to re-ink my ink pad, and I didn't. So we'll see what we get today. It was stamping a little bit lighter than I wanted it to be the other day. So I'm just going to add this little tree branch right up there at the top. Yeah, it's a little bit lighter than I would want, but that's okay. I'm not going to let it stress me out. It does need to be re-inked. I think I would get a much better set of images if I re-inked this. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the leaf right there. So I've got that corner, and then let's do the opposite corner. Stamping there. So I'm going to come up from the bottom, and then let's add a little bit right there, and then I'm going to add a little bit up that side if I can do it, like right up here. We don't see a lot of the background, but I wanted to go ahead and do it. So yeah, it's a little lighter than what I would have liked, but I think it's also kind of nice. All right, we'll pull this back out in a moment when we do the card inside, but I'm going to put away for now. All right, let's move our foam pad. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my cinnamon cider layer with some Stampin' Seal. I believe Stampin' Seal is back in stock as well if you've been waiting on that. Oh, and if you guys didn't see, if you've been waiting on that penguin punch, that bundle is now available to order again. The punch is back in stock from what I saw a little bit earlier, which I was surprised to see because it had been delayed again. But as of what I saw a little bit ago, it is back in stock. Same thing with the deer. So you could get the deer punch and stamp bundle as well if that's one that's been on your list you've been waiting for. I would definitely get it right away though, because I think that stuff has been part of what's been stuck in the supply chain on the boats off the shores. And it's in, but who knows for how long, right? I think it will sell out quickly. So I've got my Blackberry Bliss card base, folded that in half. I'm going to adhere these layers here. Now, normally I would pop up, but because I have so much going on with layers on the center focal point of this, I'm going to go ahead and put this down flat. Don't worry, I'll be using some dimensionals on it for sure. But let's not get too crazy too quickly, right? Oh, the paper is still not orderable. Expected November 29th. Thanks, Jean, for looking that up. I forgot to check it this morning. So hopefully back again soon. Now, you guys know you can use other designer papers. You can kind of create your own backgrounds with stamping as well. So it just depends on what you want to do. If you've got some papers that you like on hand, pull them in. Hey, Amelia, so glad you're here today. All right, next. Did I pull the dies? I hope I pulled all the dies I used. I like to show you guys so you know where I came up with things. All right, so seasonal label dies. These are awesome. They do have a coordinating stamp set that cuts out the stamped images from the stamp set, but my favorite part are these labels. So even if that's not your favorite stamp set, I love the dies, and you can get those to cut out these great labels. So I'm using this largest one, and that's what I use to die cut this right out of the designer paper. And then I've got two, it's the same label. So it's this next one down. So I use that to die cut out of the Shimmer Vellum and some basic white. We'll talk about that in a minute. Move that aside. I'm burying stuff, so I probably am gonna not be able to find my stuff in a moment. All right, so let's go ahead and put this layer down. I'm gonna do this one flat as well. Oh, don't you hate to cover up that gorgeous side, but it's all wonderful. That's why you just buy more so you can use both sides of the paper. And you get 2 sheets. All right, so I found when I put this down that the Shimmer Vellum didn't have as much pop to it as I wanted by itself. So when I layer it on top of the basic white, it shows up a little bit more. So I chose to do that. So let's just run some seal. I'm just going to put it right down the center of that because I'm going to cover up quite a bit of that anyway. So we're just going to put that right on top. Now you could offset it if you wanted to see a little bit of the white. I did not, so I did not do that. Okay. Now, cork paper. Have you played with the cork paper yet? I love it. Love, love, love the cork paper. So let's see, that's not it. Second largest. So the second largest circle is what I use to cut out my cork paper. And we're going to stamp on it. I love it. It's really lightweight. But it's got a great feel to it. I love all the texture that it brings. It's fabulous. Let's bring back in our foam pad. I just want to make sure I get a really good stamped image on this. So I'm going to stamp our sentiment and I'm going to bring in my Blackberry Bliss ink. Move that out of the way. I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. And my sentiment, I'm just going to use that fun scripty hello. Hopefully this is inked up pretty good. And I'm going to give it a little bit of pressure because maybe a little more than I would normal because of the texture I'm stamping on. Ooh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So pretty. Oh yeah, Jean, Beauty of the Earth designer paper would work wonderfully as well. You're right. You know, it could be a fallish look to the paper or it doesn't have to be. That's what I chose because that's the mood I'm in right now. But, you know, really, whatever colors you like. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere that circle right onto that label there. So I think I'm going to just use a little bit of liquid glue right in the center there. Okay, that's a lot of liquid glue, actually. That's going to ooze out all over the place, but hopefully I won't make too big of a mess. So I'm just kind of centering it left to right, top to bottom. Cute. Love it. All right, so then let's pop this up on our card front. I told you we would bring in dimensionals. Promised you. So I'm going to straddle that edge just because. No real reason other than I just wanted to. And put that on, and then let's just add another in the center. Why not, right? We'll pull the backing off. So I don't know if my global friends, I'm guessing Thanksgiving is a US, if you think about what Thanksgiving is, yes, Thanksgiving would be a US holiday. So we've got that going on this week. So does everybody have great plans? Visiting family? Talking to family? Avoiding family? There could be lots of layers with that, right? And I'm not talking to you, Mom. Okay, so we're going to go visit our daughter. So I get to go see my 5-year-old granddaughter. Yay! That's always fun. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So I've got a couple things I want to stamp on this scrap of white paper. One is I want to create this little birdhouse. And then 2 is I want this little bird as well. So I'm going to start with actually the birdhouse itself. And I'm just bringing in my Memento Black. And I'm stamping in black because this Memento Black is the best ink for coloring with blends. That way it's not going to smear on me. Oh, what am I doing? I need that ink still. All right. And then we've got this little pole that goes underneath. And I probably ought to grab my scrap paper just in case it goes longer. And one of the great things about photopolymer is that you can look right in and see, of course, if you're not on camera, if you're on camera, you might not be able to see, oh, I did pretty good. Yay. That does not always happen. And then I went to go ahead and stamp a birdie. So this is why I had it down just a bit. So I have some room. All right. Now we're going to fussy cut this, but I think I'm going to color it before I fussy cut because I think it'll be a little bit easier. Granted, you can do what makes you happy, right? Let's pull this out of the way. All right, so I've got my Pale Papaya and Blackberry Bliss blends. And so I'm going to start with these and color. Now I got to show you what I did. I don't know if you guys can see this. Now, hopefully this still works. So I have tape around this because look, I totally broke my blend. So I noticed that the cap wasn't snapped down. And so I went to snap the cap and I totally broke this side of the marker. So needless to say, this is on my list of things I need to buy because I've got to replace this because I'm guessing if it even works today, I'll be surprised. We'll see what happens. We'll make do without it if we have to. But it's also the narrow tip, which is the tip I prefer to use. So today I'm probably going to use the brush tip as I'm coloring a little bit more. Yeah, so let's try that. Let's see if I can get this off without totally breaking this marker. And let's see if this end still works. Oh, it does. Yay. So I got kind of lucky because I'm a little bit surprised. So I'm using the brush tip, just brushing in a little bit of this dark color. Let's put a little bit here as well. I don't think it's going to work for long. It looks like it's drying out pretty darn quick. All right. Now I'm going to switch to the light and I'm going to color this in a little bit more. So I'm leaving some white space in there. So don't overthink it. Just add a little bit. We won't use all that length there. Actually, let's add a little bit to our little birdie here. All right. Now I'm going to bring in my pale papaya. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add a little bit of the dark right under here because I'm assuming that this roof is overhanging and creating a shadow right there. And then I'm just going to put a little bit down here too. Whether that makes sense or not, that's what I'm doing. Okay, and then let's add a little bit to our bird's belly, and then we'll do the rest with the light. All right, so now I'm going to bring the light pale papaya in and just kind of scribble that a little bit. Cute. And then I know this is weird, but I'm going to rotate this. And I'm going to put a little bit of papaya in the center here to blend across this blackberry. I think it makes a nice, pretty highlight there. Kind of fun, right? And then we can use it to color in the rest of this. Now, you can leave some white space. Maybe I'll leave a little more white space. Kind of blend that a little bit. Leave a little white space as I go. I didn't leave as much on this one as I did on my original, but it kind of gives a nice highlight if you leave some white space. All right, easy, right? That was easy blending. Not too bad. Now we get to fussy cut. Who loves fussy cutting? Let's see, why and when you would use stays on black ink and when you'd use memento. Okay, so Susan, some of this is going to be personal preference and I'll try to clarify. So if, yeah, okay. So if you're using Stampin' Blends, I would use memento ink because it is made for the Stampin' Blends. Stays on, I believe, is a permanent ink. And it does not work well with the blends. The blends actually kind of pick the ink back up or smear it, I guess is the best way to say it. So it's based on the alcohol and how all that works together. So when you're using blends, go memento for sure. Now, I do think it's a personal preference and it also depends on what you're stamping on. So one of the nice things about Stays On is that it is a permanent ink and you can stamp on things like plastic. You could stamp on vellum, you know, and it gives a nice deep, deep black. It's a much richer black than the memento is, in my opinion. Now, I will tell you that I don't like it with photopolymer stamps. I think it leaves a residue on photopolymer, and I'm not so sure it's great for the finish on the stamps. So it is not something I like to use with photopolymer at all. Every once in a while, I will use it with photopolymer because of the technique I might be doing or the medium I'm stamping on. But if I do that, I immediately clean it because it not only stains the stamps, but it will really put a sticky residue on the photopolymer stamps. Now, I don't have any issues with it on the red rubber stamps. I think it works great with those. And, you know, yes, it's still going to stain. We do have a stays on cleaner that is good to use with it if the staining really bothers you. I do find there as well that if I don't clean them fairly quickly, it can put a residue on it as well. And I've had instances where if I didn't keep that stamp clean, that it actually, when I stamped, it would tear the paper because it gets a weird sticky finish to it. Again, so much better with red rubber than photopolymer, in my opinion. So I hope that that helps. But it is, I do use it. I do like it, but I use it very selectively, if that helps. So it's, you know, and you know, and you can't beat it for, like, you can stamp on window sheets, and you could use it to stamp on tile or, you know, to make little coasters. You know, I stamped it on glass before, actually. So, I mean, it's definitely got a purpose to it. So, all right. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this little birdhouse down. So I'm just going to eyeball this. I don't really want that hanging all the way down there. So I'm just going to clip this off. There's no exact spot. You put it wherever you want to. And to adhere that down, because I have this lovely narrow pull coming down out of the bottom, I'm going to use foam adhesive strips. So this is going to allow me to make this birdhouse nice and stable. Well, if you get it actually on the cardstock, it makes it nice and stable, right? If you miss the cardstock, it doesn't work so good. All right, and then I'm going to put a couple smaller pieces on the side there just to make this nice and sturdy. And I think that's a little too long, so cut that off. There we go. All right, so I've got foam adhesive strips on the back of that. Well, I may use those again, we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. And I don't think I listed it on the supply list, but I may pull out mini dimensionals as well. All right, so I'm placing my little birdhouse, so cute. And I'm having it, you know, kind of cross over my layers. I kind of like that. So you can see it goes up beyond the circle, kind of falls in nicely with the little hello there. So cute, right? All right, let's do the not difficult, I think kind of fun ribbon. So this is the ribbon I'm actually using. And so this is pale papaya and white, so woven ribbon. And you can see I use the strands from it. So I'm going to pull off, I think it's about 10 inches. I'm just going to eyeball that here. That looks good to me. I'm going to clip this. And I'm not going to worry about clipping it at an angle because I'm going to fray this out. Now this can be a little tedious. If you don't like this, then don't do it. All right, that is not pulling, so I think I need to go the other direction. The way the ribbons are woven, there's always a way that works a little bit easier. So once you've got that thread that's going across here, you can just pull that out. Now I'm holding, lightly holding it so you can see that my threads are coming loose, but it makes it a little bit easier to pull. So I can just work my way down this ribbon. Yes, Susan, I would definitely say my more go-to is Memento. Now, I think, again, that's a personal preference, because if you talk to my friend Melissa Kerman, she would disagree with me and she would like stays on as her go-to because she likes the deeper black. But she also does not use it with photopolymer if she can avoid it, really with red rubber. So, but yes, I tend to reach for Memento first, unless I just need it to be stays on for a reason. Okay, so I'm almost to the end of this. So I want to make sure I've got a good hold on this crazy mess of strands here, because this can go wild on you. Okay. All right, so I've got that one, I've got a really long mess on the floor. All right, so I've got my strands. Now, I found that this was a little more than I could deal with as far as the number of strands. So I'm just going to divide it in half-ish, right? So these I'm just going to set aside, and hopefully they don't end up all over my floor. They might. And then this, I like to give it a little bit of a twist just to kind of keep the strands together while I work with it. I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow. So you want to make sure that you've got plenty that you can work with it. You can always clip away if you want. And you're going to get 2 bows if you do this out of 1, right? All right. Is that not the coolest? I love it. Very whiskery looking. I don't know. All right. So I'm just holding that knot, pulling those ends in, get my loops a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to pull them back out, get it nice and tight. Because I do want the larger loops because it's going to go behind. Isn't that fun? So then I can just spread those loops apart, gives it a little more fullness. And I got those great strands. We'll clip those off in a moment. But isn't that fun? Just a different way to use the ribbon. Now you could have cut it down the middle and separated it and then pulled the thread, but I found this a little bit easier to work with if I did it this way. So I'm going to set that aside. So let's put our bird in our loop over there. I'm going to bring back in my foam pad and let's stamp our sentiment. So I've die cut a little label using the Tasteful Labels dies. Another one of my go-to sets. I use this one a lot. So that's this label right there. I like labels if you guys didn't notice that already. Alrighty, and bringing back in our Blackberry Bliss ink pad. And let's just stamp this sentiment right on there. Oh, good, you like it. So Susan, did I help or did I make you more confused on the black ink pad? I hope it was helpful. Does all the ribbon pull into threads? You know, not all of them are easy to do. It depends on how it's woven, and Jean is our expert at weaving, so she probably could actually answer better than I can. But there are certain ribbons that you can really pull apart very, very easily, and some of them are woven super, super tight, and so it's a little more difficult. So what I'll do is when I get a new ribbon, I kind of look at the end, and if it's super easy to pull out like this, like I'm just running my finger, or if I tie a bow and I find that my ends are fraying really easily, I know that's a good one to unravel if I want to. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of a wider ribbon. I actually like a narrower ribbon. So this gives me a little more flexibility. Like I felt like this was a little chunky if I were to tie it as is. Now it's got its purpose. You could wrap it. You could use it in a lot of different ways, but I didn't personally like it that way. So I'm seeing things where people are, you know, cutting up the center. Here, I'll just show you where they're cutting up the center and then letting things ravel if they ravel, or just using it as a skinnier version and just kind of letting that texture. And you can see those are wanting to pull out those fibers. It's so much easier to unravel if you do it whole versus this half piece here that I'm showing now, right? Because you've got this edge that is kind of tying this all together. So you just have to kind of play with it. If you're open to sacrificing the first inch or so, you can kind of get a good feel on if it will ravel out. But we currently have a couple of really nice ribbons that ravel super easy. Yeah, you like the thinner ribbon as well. Now, the one exception I'll say to that is that we have that silver mesh ribbon. Super lightweight, flexible, easy peasy to use. Now that one I love, and it's wider. All right, so we are going to adhere. I'm going to adhere this ribbon to this label. So I'm just going to run some Stampin' Seal. We'll do a little bit more in a minute because I want it nice and secure, but this is going to let me place it. So I'm kind of placing it, I don't know your right words that you like to use. I'm going to call it cattywampus. I don't know if that's real, right? Is that a real word? Because I wanted to see some of the loops down here. I wanted to see some of the loops there. And then I can see the nice frayed edges, right? So I think that's kind of nice right there. Now I'm going to flip this over. I want to make sure that this adheres nicely and that I can put it down on my card. So I'm going to use these foam adhesive strips again. Now the foam adhesive strips are a little bit taller than our dimensionals. So just to point that out, not for any other reason really, just to make sure you're aware, because you're going to get a little bit more height. Now I am going at an angle because I don't want it to rock like this, if that makes any sense. And I want to go across that ribbon so it stays adhered. So I want to avoid the knot. That might have been a little bit long. Trying to avoid the knot, but I want it to stick to the label. Let's see if I got that. Yeah, I think that'll be okay with those fibers separated. So I'm going to go with that. We'll see how it works. Might not work well, but we'll find out in a minute. If it falls off, we'll know. Actually, let me put this little baby piece right there too. It probably didn't need it, but I'm doing it anyway. All right, we'll take the backings off of these. So that's going to secure that ribbon, hopefully, to the label and the label to the card. So all my layers get sandwiched together there. All right. And then I can just kind of place this wherever I like it, right? So it can be down a little bit. It can be over. Oh, you know what I did? Is I took this adhesive out. That's why I shouldn't have done that. If I want this to overlap this, this element here, I don't want that foam that far over. So since I did that, we just won't put this one over as far as I did on the original sample. We'll have it just barely peeking on there, right? Because that's cool too. There's not an exact right and wrong way to do it. Thank goodness. I'm just giving it a little extra push because I really want that to hold down in place. Cute, right? And so if this bothers you, if it's too long, we can just come back in here, snip that away, give it a little haircut. And the same thing on this side. Let's go ahead and snip those. You could snip them first if you prefer. Spread that out. Fun. I like it. I think it has a nice texture and kind of a little bit of a softness, right? Because we've got the texture from this, the zigzag texture here. It's very textury. And then you've got the texture of the cork. So it just gives it a nice visual softness that goes as a nice contrast with those. Good. Okay. So Jean, you're saying there's a debate between kittywampus and cattywampus. Ah, yes. I could totally see that. I think I say cattywampus. Maybe I said kittywampus. I don't know. It's whatever came out of my mouth, and it's probably different each time I do it, to be honest. Okay, so now I'm going to put this little birdie on here. And I think I mentioned to you that the dimensionals, I just happened to grab black. I have some white ones, but not right at my fingertips. So I mentioned, right, the height of dimensionals is not as tall as the height of the foam strips. You can see that here, I hope, with the black versus the white, maybe. So this is going to give me more height. So if I want to put this bird down on the edge of this label here, right, I can glue his feet down and he's probably going to be just fine. Why it's a he, I don't know. That's just what comes out of my head sometimes. So I can go ahead and adhere that and have just that little edge, but I kind of want some dimension on the back side of it to hold it in place. So instead of adding glue to put it on the label, I'm going to add a mini dimensional. And I'm going to go ahead and double stack it. It might be too much. Let's see what happens. See if I can put 2 of them on there. That's pretty tall, but I wanted it to stick so that it looks like it's just sitting on the edge of that label without falling off. Now, I probably should have moved this all down a smidge, right? Maybe I can push them down a little bit more because I'm kind of up close to that hello. So it might have been nicer if I'd gone down a little bit like I did on the original. See? So I got this one down a little bit further than this one. It's still very pretty though. So I'm going to take it. It's not bad. All right. Let's add a little bling to finish the outside, and then we'll move on to the inside. So I'm pulling in my, okay, Jean, you'll have to let me know if I say this wrong. Genial Gems. I think I'm getting it right. I love these. So I'm going to pull some of those out and grab my take your pick. See if I can pull some of these out. When I cut them in strips like this, it makes it a little more difficult to use, but it should still be okay. Just going to sprinkle on a couple, 3, could go more, but I want it small, just a little bit, so that ties that shimmer in with that subtle shimmer that we've got on that vellum. I love that vellum. If you've not seen that vellum in person, it's just stunning. So fun, right? Lovely. Let's do the inside. So what I did on the original, I've got my tree branch, and then I've got that little birdie in there too, just to kind of bring that design to the inside. So let's pull back in our foam sheet and our scrap paper. Grab the white layer. And what did I do with that papaya? There it is. Papaya ink pad. Slide that over. Oh, good. I got it, Jean. Yay. I'm learning. I'm slow, but I'm learning. I'll get it. All right. So our little branch here, and you could stamp it more than once if you want. I just want a little bit in that corner. And again, I should have reinked my pad and it would have been a little bit more vibrant, but we're good. Oh, good. You guys like it? Yay. So glad. Let me find that little birdie and my memento pad again. We're going to stamp our bird in black because we're going to color it just like we did on the one that we fussy cut. So I'm just going to try to make it look like he's sitting on that branch. Fun. So right over top. And I didn't mask it because I didn't find that I needed to. So let's pull back in our blends. So we add a little bit of purple. So you see I'm putting a lot of thought in that, right? Did you see that scribble? Just kidding. I'm just scribbling. And then here we'll use the brushed one this time, just because. And I'm going to blend it a little bit into that purple. And if you want a little bit darker, you can add a little bit of the dark as well. Yeah, I needed that darker in there. Cute. So it's fun. And you guys know blends bleed, right? They bleed right through your cardstock. So that's why we put it on layers. So it's fun. If you've not tried the Stamp and Blend yet, I highly recommend it. Now, could you do this with watercoloring? Sure. Could you do it with blender pen and ink? Yep. There's lots of different things you could do and get a very similar look to it. But I thought that this was fun and fast and easy. So let's see if I got the, yep, that's the one that's empty on the inside. Let's go ahead and layer this and put that inside. Love that pop of color framed on the white on the inside as well. It's a nice contrast. So I don't know if you've noticed. So on the outside, I put cinnamon cider and then the papaya in the middle. And here I was like, ooh, I think I want the papaya on the inside to bring that color in versus the cinnamon cider. I think either would have looked nice, but that's what I did. Cute. So lots of great fun things that we're playing with today. Oh, you love it? Good, good, good. I'm so glad. Perfect. Okay, do you guys want to see a sneak peek of bingo? The bingo cards? Yes? All right, let me grab them. So I'm doing something a little different this time for bingo. Oh yeah, watercolor pencils and blender pens would be nice. Yes. Good, good, good. I love it. Yeah, I think it's just a great color combo. For whatever reason, I go to pale papaya with Blackberry Bliss. It's a strange thing, but it's a combination I've used a few times. I also really like it with cherry cobbler, but it was a little too much on this with cherry cobbler. I wanted it with the purple, but you know, I'm a purple kind of gal. All right, so for bingo. So normally bingo, I make super, super easy cards because we're just hanging out. We play bingo on Zoom and, you know, there's prizes to be had and all that fun stuff. But we do a fast and easy card class. It's 3 cards. And this time I decided to change it up a little bit. So we're using the garden birdhouses and I wanted to show some techniques this time. So I'm doing that. So we are using the chalk marker and we're going to do 3 different techniques with it. So the goodie bags will include a chalk marker. So no worries if you signed up for bingo and don't have a chalk marker. So I'm going to show you guys. So we're going to do this one. They're neutral cards, but it was more about the technique. So this one is highlighting with the chalk marker. So you can kind of see that. Very cool, I think. And I don't normally stamp on the insides either when we do bingo, but I did this time. All right, so that's the first one. The second one is another one where we're doing chalk marker and then we're taking a blend and coloring over the top. So you can use the chalk marker to help you do some little coloring magic there. Okay, now I've got a stepped up version of this card as well that will go in the tutorial just as another suggestion. I'll show you that in a moment. And then the third one is a chalk marker resist technique in the background. So we're doing a little blends, coloring, a little bit of stamping, but keeping it super neutral. Fun. All right, so then here's the 2 stepped up versions. So this is this one where I stepped it up by cutting this decorative edge with the basic border dies. So it really kind of changes it up, right? When you take that extra element to it. So other than this, the same exact card, right? All right. And then on this one, I stepped it up as well by doing crazy die cutting. So each of these layers is die cut with the stitched rectangle dies. So it just changes it up just a smidge, right? So I'll have those in the tutorial as well for those that are joining me for bingo. So I hope you guys are excited about creating those cards for bingo, right? So bingo registration ends, I think it is Saturday. Yes, Saturday is the last chance. So hopefully you'll join me for bingo. Of course, you can use, if you don't have garden birdhouses, you can add it to the class event, or you can use something you've got at home. It doesn't have to be the garden birdhouses, but as you can see, you want an open stamp that you can add the highlighting and stuff to. So, all right. I hope that you guys loved it. Oh, good. You like the bingo cards. Yay. Good, good, good. I never want anybody to be disappointed. I know I can't always please everyone, but try to change it up just a smidge so you guys learn something new each time. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a fabulous Thanksgiving this week for those that are celebrating Thanksgiving. And if you're not celebrating Thanksgiving, still have a fabulous week, right? We want to always have a good week. I hope you get some paper crafting time in as I knock everything off the table here. And that you'll join me next week. Now, don't forget, if you guys are enjoying the videos, please share with your crafty friends, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my blog, sign up for my newsletter. I got all kinds of fun stuff, right? So I hope that I will see you all again soon and have a great week. All right, bye for now.